Hi, this is Bob Maloney from Miracle Products. Today we're going to show you how to use Aero hand rubbed oil finish. It's considerably different than True Oil or Tung Oil or Linseed Oil or Formby's. We're usually done in about 1/10 as many coats and about 1/10 as much time per coat. It is a custom hand rubbed oil finish. It has three properties. It will seal the wood, making it waterproof. It'll fill the grain so it's smooth and fill in scratches and damage. And it will build whatever shine you choose. Whether you want it satin, high gloss, anywhere in between, you can make it with this product without ever steel wooling. Let's begin with a piece that I'm going to damage in order to show you how it's used. This is my whittling stick. It's all beat up, as you can see. It's been whittled on for years. But I want to prove a point about how fast this is. The way that we fix a scratch. Now I'm going to create one. Let's say some idiot dropped your gun on a rock and scratched it. All right? Anybody can fix that scratch. It just takes about 4 days to fix. We're going to have it done in 60 seconds. The way I fix this is the way you do the entire piece. The technique's identical. Step 1, shake up the finish. There's filler and sealer along with 12 oils to make the finish. The filler tends to settle out. Always shake it up. When you apply it like you do most oils. Put it on with a cloth or a cotton ball or your finger and rub it in. Like virtually all oils, it tends to bring out the color of the wood. It won't add any, but it will show you what that wood is going to look like when it's finished. The color it is when it's wet, with anything, is the color it's going to be when it's wood finished. Now here's your first difference. That won't dry unless you rub it. Heat lamp it and fan it, you're wasting your time. Rub it, it's bone dry right away. What we rub it dry with is the trick. If I rub that dry with my hand or a cloth, it's going to be a sealed, waterproof scratch. I want to get rid of the scratch. So what we're going to do is rub it in with automotive grade wet or dry sandpaper matched to the problem. Rougher the problem, rougher the paper. In this case, bad scratch, 320. Most of my work's finer than that. 400, 600, 800. All right. This is 320. Now, we moisten that with the wood finish. You want to lubricate it just a little bit. Then, rub this wet finish in with the sandpaper. What happens is, the first strokes, that sandpaper has a lot of bite to it. It's nipping off whiskers from the edge of the cut. Then the paper bogs down, and it takes the mud you're making and glues it back in as part of the filler. It's got to match. It's the same wood. Wear your paper out. If you change to fresh paper, you're going to go back to cutting. We don't want to cut. We want to pack the mud in. As it dries, it gets stiff, but not sticky. Throw the paper, buff that dry with your hand or a cloth, and then let it cure 12 to 24 hours between coats. No steel wooling, no dust-free environment. It's bone dry. If you can't get it bone dry in under 5 minutes, you're using it too heavy. Take a paper towel to it. All right. Now, because I rubbed it in with that sandpaper, I have a completely dull finish. It matches the surrounding territory, but there's no shine to it. The rougher the paper, the more filling we get, but the duller the finish. If tomorrow I do a lighter coat, use less finish. Each additional coat, use less finish. But if I put a lighter coat on there tomorrow and rubbed it in with the next finer sandpaper, say 400, it will get brighter. Go to 600, gets brighter. So that you can adjust it infinitely. 400 tends to make it look like this. It's a nice satin. It's got some shine to it, but it's a nice satin. On the other side, I went to 600. Now it's brighter. And this one, we went to 1500 grit. It's brighter yet. So you can adjust it infinitely to what you want it to be. Also, we're the only company on earth can make this claim. This product will bond permanently to any other finish on earth. This is polyurethane, and I don't know if you can see it in this camera, but it is orange peeled. It's got all these little dimples in it. Doesn't look very good. Everybody else has to strip this because of the fact that it's polyurethane. We don't. Aero wood finish will bond permanently to any other finish on earth. So I put a coat of my wood finish on top of here. While it was wet, I rubbed it in with 400 grit paper until it made a mud. At that point, I threw the paper and buffed it dry with my hand. This is my first coat on top of this mess, so that all the dimpling has been removed, but I have a satin finish. Well, I certainly can shine it up, make it as shiny as I choose, but I will have eliminated all of that dimpling. Personally, I like them satin. I'm going to leave it that way. In one other area, you've got to use a slightly different technique. In checkering or carving, we wipe it on, rub it through with a toothbrush, and then buff that dry. That'll keep your lines deep and sharp, but it'll put a coat of finish on them and seal them in. The biggest clue to using this is use less than you're used to using. The lighter you use it, the better it works. When you're doing a filling with sandpaper, you want to use it heavier. The finer you go, the less of this you use. To put a gloss coat on this side of this stock, I want to show you how much it takes. This is difficult to show in a camera, but I tip the bottle back up against my hand and back down, and then scrape 80% of that back into the bottle. That, I don't know if you can see it, that amount on my hand is enough to do the entire side of that stock. Wipe it on, buff it dry. Your hand is a beautiful burnishing tool, and this was designed for hand use. So now, in a matter of 10 seconds, because I didn't put it on heavy, I don't rub till I have blisters, I can have that bone dry in about 10 seconds. Because it never needs steel wooling between layers, what it looks like now is what it's going to look like for the next 25 years. I don't take any of it back off with steel wool. So you can use this over the top of any kind of stain, let the stain cure. Your best bet there is to make the wood very smooth. Stain it to the color you want. Then let that cure, put this on top of it, and just buff it in with your hand or a cloth. That way you won't cut off any of the color that you've put on. If it's not stained, this will bring out the full richness of whatever the color of that wood is. So a lot of times, rather than stain without thinking, just grab a piece of wood and stain it, what I do is I'll rub a little rubbing alcohol onto the wood and look at it while it's wet. The color that is when it's wet is the color it's going to be when it's wood finished. If that color is sufficient, all you need to do is let the alcohol dry and go ahead and put Aero wood finish on it. I hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions, call me at 800-215-2644. That's Bob Maloney at Miracle Products. Thank you.